did some bad things. I did some bad things.
Tell me.
We thought we were helping, but it didn't work out that way.
Hello, everybody. What the flick? William Bibbiani here from Crave Online and the B Movies Podcast. With me, as always, is Alonso Duralde. As you might have noticed, this is a somewhat sparse set. We're still in a transitional period. Some of the other cast members couldn't make it. But we're here to review The Gunman. Alonso, take it away.
So Sean Penn would like to be your new Liam Neeson, thank you very much. And he's got the shirtless scenes to prove it. Also, lots of shooting. He plays a person who does bad things in the Congo while pretending to work for an NGO and tries to get out of that life. But then, of course, a few years later, someone's out to get him, which means he's got to find all the old other bad people and figure out who it is. Take a look.
You always worried too much, Jim. The past is the past, my friend.
You keep a diary of the horror we created.
It never happened.
That's the way you want to play it? With me? You did your part, I did mine. We all found a way to justify it.
Keep your eyes open, my friend. It's the ones who aren't after you that do you in the end.
What's going on, Chip?
The company's clearing house. You'll have to expose them. It's the one shot you got. I recorded everything. I'm gonna throw it out where the world can see it.
Really? Really?
I gotta go, Stan. Do you hear me? I got to go.
Let the real hunt begin!
You ever have one of those days when everything's going wrong and everybody wants to kill you for something?
So this movie, I found really kind of like it had two big agendas. One was Sean Penn as action star.
Yeah, which he acquits himself reasonably
Which
well.
is fine, sure.
Yeah.
And
He's been working out.
And then and he wants you to know it. Seriously, there's like a shower scene that is so gratuitous in this. Like, not since Whiteout have I seen a shower scene that was so like, check it out, everybody.
Fun fact, that's the first time anyone's referenced Whiteout in like 2 years.
But it's also selling you, Sean Penn, global humanitarian, because this movie pretends like it is telling you something about first world exploitation of Africa and its resources. But basically that boils down to kind of prologue and epilogue, and the rest of the movie is just...
And a prologue and epilogue in which, like, literally, like, someone on a news station talks to you and tells you statistics. Which is really lame. I feel like this movie, and I like this movie a little bit more than you, it's still not very good. I feel like this movie is almost ashamed of itself for being an action movie. Like, you got Sean Penn involved, and Sean Penn is a co-screenplay credit.
And a co-producer.
And a co-producer credit. And Sean Penn doesn't make movies willy-nilly. Like, he really likes to get involved. And I get the impression that, okay, we got Sean Penn involved, he wants to co-write it. We want to make this seem like kind of important. This was originally going to be a little bit more like Taken, a little bit more fast and dirty. And I love Taken. And this is the director of Taken, Pierre Morel. He knows how to make this movie.
He also made that Kevin Costner,
No, that was McGee.
The John Travolta one.
The John Travolta from Paris Love. That movie sucked, I'll give you that. But anyway, he knows how to do this movie.
Sure,
and this movie is essentially Taken. And yet, every time it just settles in and gives us like an action sequence, and the action sequences are fine.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff in it. But it always has to remind us that there's some really bad shit going on in the Congo, you guys. You really shouldn't be wasting your time watching this movie. You should be donating money.
Writing your congressman.
Yeah, you should be doing something about this.
Yeah.
And that's a little of that could have gone a long way. I'm fine with an action movie having a message and having a backdrop against something that's real, but it's overselling it and it becomes portentous.
Yeah, it's very clumsily woven in, and then also there's a whole subplot about the fact that Sean Penn's character, because of this life of violence and whatever that he's been gone through, that his brain is covered with plaque.
Yeah.
And that he's having like Alzheimer's.
He's had brain damage a little bit.
Yeah, like Alzheimer's-like symptoms, and that if he doesn't watch it, it's going to get worse. But of course, he has to do the things that are going to make him sicker to save his own life, to like chase down the bad guys and blow shit up.
That's a good setup.
It's a good setup that the movie completely forgets about.
Isn't it weird? I was reminded of The Bourne Legacy, where like the whole idea was that Jeremy Renner needs the chems. Where are the chems?
The smart pills.
He needs the smart pills, or else he's not going to be able to save the day and save his own life. But it's never an issue.
Yeah.
There's no one. He never has to fight anyone off without those pills.
Yeah.
And here you establish a weakness for your character.
And then it gets
It's nothing.
forgotten until the very end.
But I will say, one thing I do like about this movie, and I think the one thing it tries to do that's a little off kilter that I think it does somewhat successfully is it tries to build up the characters and make them a little bit more emotional. I get the sense that Sean Penn's character really feels bad about everything. Like he has a speech when he's talking to like his ex-girlfriend who he runs into again after a while, where he talks about how, yeah, I was on the run and I felt so trapped. And it's Sean Penn, he's a great actor. I believe that, and I had sympathy for him. I believe, and Javier Bardem, and we're going to have an argument about this. Javier Bardem shows up, and you think he's going to be like a James Bond supervillain, you know? And he's not. He's this incredibly pathetic, weak human being who's like desperately trying to hang on to Sean Penn's ex-girlfriend, who's now his wife, even though he knows she really loves Sean Penn. And I was fascinated by this character in this performance. This guy who is so powerful.
He is so bad. This is like one of the rare terrible Javier Bardem performances I've ever seen.
Why is this terrible performance?
It is so hammy and just. It just felt like he yelled everything. It felt very kind of woodenly evil and sort of just two-dimensionally.
I didn't get
mustache twirling. I was embarrassed for him watching it because I know how great he can be.
I was sitting next to you. I know I saw the same movie. I did not pick up on that. I thought here's a character. Yeah, it's a bit broadly drawn. But I thought here is a guy who, all this mercenary shit, none of it matters to him. All he really cares about is this woman that he loves who doesn't love him back. And he's just pathetic with grief.
Let's talk about how the fact that he's into her is introduced in the movie.
Awkwardly, I'll give you.
Sean Penn sits down next to her. They start making out, and it's like glower.
Yeah, it just cuts to Javier Bardem.
Glower, like 8 angles of Javier Bardem glowers. Like, okay, yeah, movie, we get it.
I'm not claiming it's subtle.
Oh my God!
I think he plays the hell out of it.
Also, I want to know why the girlfriend is a surgeon when they're in the Congo, and she's teaching grammar school back in Spain. It's like, that's a bit of a career shift.
It's a bit of a career shift. Also, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't go anywhere. Like Idris Elba is in this movie. He has 2 scenes.
Yeah,
there has to be stuff they cut. You don't get Idris Elba and have him sit down on a park bench and have 8 lines of dialogue.
No, or you tell Idris Elba, hey, you want to be in a movie with Sean Penn?
I think that's all there was to it.
That's it. I can't imagine why else he would take this gig.
And it wants to be taken so seriously. It wants to be so grounded in real world stuff. And then the ending is so ludicrous because they want to have a James Bond kind of backdrop where it's a little exotic.
Yeah.
And they pick one that just gives them an excuse to cut to something completely unrelated so that it looks artsy. And then they find a way to incorporate it into the ultimate fate of the villain, who I won't tell you how or what, but it's laughable.
Yeah.
It's really laughable.
This movie, I got what it was trying to do, but its failure to do so, I just found more and more frustrating. And it's not paced very well. I mean, we talked about
awkward,
the action sequences in and of themselves are pretty good.
Yeah, there's a great sequence with Sean Penn in his apartment, and there might be a bomb in it. I thought that was nice and suspenseful.
Yeah, there's some
that
cool
was really good.
booby trapping stuff, but boy, just getting to each of those things and just the awful Bardem performance, I thought, and just so much other stuff. I did kind of like the main sort of chiseled bad guy. I forget the actor's name.
Oh, I do
He's
too,
Scandinavian or something. I thought he was kind of interesting.
There was a good opponent for Sean Penn physically.
Yeah, he felt like a worthy
well.
kind of fighting guy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this movie I just got madder and madder while I was watching it. So I give it a 3.5. I think I just found it really just irritating.
I gave it a 6, and that's not a recommendation. Obviously, it's just I feel like I like the performances. I like that they tried to give the characters a little bit more to work with, but it doesn't quite balance out. A couple of cool action sequences doesn't really smooth over all the obvious flaws in this movie. I think if you're a really big fan of this kind of action movie, there's some stuff in it for you, but it's not very good.
So it's a 4.8 from us. It's a 16% on the tomato meter. So anyway, maybe Sean Penn will not be the new Liam Neeson. I don't know.
It's not Sean Penn's fault. I think I would buy him in something else.
No, I
feel like anytime Sean Penn does a thriller, it sucks. Remember The Interpreter? No one else does.
But here's the thing, though. If it were just that Sean Penn acted in this movie that's kind of a turd, it'd be one thing. But no, as you point out, he's a co-writer and co-producer, so he does get some blame here. I think.
Fair enough.
Anyway, all right. Well, we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.